It's a catastrophic food shortage. The time to prepare for that is now.
We must honestly acknowledge the circumstances we inherited. 94 million Americans are out of the labor force. Over 43 million people are now living in poverty. And over 43 million Americans are on food stamps.
We're going to have a heart attack in credit. Without credit, nothing gets done. Farmers can't plant, farmers can't harvest, they can't ship it to the silo can't ship it, the grain can't be manufactured into bread, and then once it's bread, it can't get shipped to the final destination, because every one of those operations involves credit. So when credit stops, you're going to see basically a seizure of all goods making it to markets. So there won't be goods available.
And how big a crash could we be looking at?
It'll be the worst in your lifetime.
And the worst scenario for that would be things like Zimbabwe and Venezuela.
This truck carrying corn flour and pasta never made it to the grocery store. Looting in Venezuela is on the rise.
Each day at dusk, the unemployed converge on this sidewalk trash heap in downtown Caracas, picking through rotten fruit and vegetables tossed out by nearby shops. But it's not just the jobless that search through garbage for food. They're joined by many who still consider themselves part of Venezuela's middle class, even though their living standards have long declined, pulverized by triple-digit inflation, food shortages, and a collapsing currency.
What will make markets crash? Are valuations enough? And if so, when will it happen?
Later this year or next.
Later this year or next.
Write it down.
Ever since Donald J. Trump's surprise election victory back in November, stocks have been on a tremendous run. But this surge has not been matched by a turnaround in the real economy. We have essentially had a no-growth economy for most of the past decade, and ominous signs pointing to potential big trouble ahead are all around us. The only reason why stocks have been able to perform so well is due to unprecedented intervention by global central banks. But they are not going to be able to keep inflating this bubble forever. At some point, this absolutely enormous bubble will burst, and investors will lose trillions of dollars.
And we got this kind of wild card remark out of the Bank for International Settlements in their report. They encourage the central banks to continue with the normalizing of what's going on, yet they raised the possibility that the markets are becoming potentially vulnerable again to a Lehman-like moment. I would prefer not to see a Lehman-like moment again.
What do you mean?
That's what they said. They said that, as I say, continue with the normalization, but they should review the general case of the markets, which apparently they sense some weakening in it, and that if a Lehman surprise came along.
In his most recent article, Simon Black listed some of the things that he is currently watching. North Korea is threatening to nuke the US. Trump is firing his entire cabinet. The Federal Reserve has dropped interest rates to record lows and drowned the world in trillions of dollars of cash. Debt levels are at record highs. Entire banking systems, especially those in Europe, are in need of massive bailouts. The US government will run out of money in less than 90 days and hit the debt ceiling once again. You only make money in the stock market if you get out in time. And since just before the crisis of 2008, I have never seen so many prominent names in the financial community warn about a coming stock market crash as I have over the last 90 days. For example, legendary investor Jim Rogers is warning that there will be almost certainly a crash this year or next, and that it will be the worst in your lifetime and my lifetime.
The last financial crisis will be a fraction of what is yet to come, says our next guest, famed investor Jim Rogers. He joins us today from Las Vegas. Jim, great to have you back on.
I am delighted to be here, Daniela. Nice to see you again.
Yes, nice to see you as well, Jim. And I've been catching up on some of your recent interviews. And I know you don't usually like to make predictions, but you seem sure that we could see the worst crash in your lifetime and pretty soon. So why the certainty now, Jim?
Well, first of all, Daniela, we've had economic problems in the U.S. or in North America every 4 to 8 years since the beginning of the Republic. So to say that we're going to have a problem is not unusual. It would be bizarre if we didn't have a problem again. Janet Yellen says we will not ever have a problem again, but if you believe Washington, D.C., then you don't accept what I'm saying. But we've had these problems. We're going to have another one. It's been over 8 years since our last one. The last one, Daniela, was caused by too much debt. Well, since 2008, the debt has gone through the roof. The Federal Reserve alone in the United States, its balance sheet is up over 600% since that time. That's just in 8 or 9 years. So the next time we have a problem, which we will, despite Janet Yellen, it's going to be the worst in your lifetime and in my lifetime.
Do you know what time frame we're looking at, Jim?
No, you should listen to Kidco. They know, they have answers to things like this. I'm not smart enough. Well, I would expect it to start this year or next.
And in the environment that we are in today, caution is a very good thing. I really like how billionaire Howard Marks put this the other day. I think it's better to turn cautious too soon and thus perhaps underperform for a while, rather than too late. After the downslide has begun, making it hard to trim risk, achieve exits, and cut losses. Perhaps this will be the first giant financial bubble in our history to end smoothly, but I wouldn't count on it. In the end, I expect this one to end just like the others. And I anticipate that the coming crisis will ultimately be worse than anything we have ever faced before, because this current bubble has been artificially inflated for so long. Hopefully, stock prices will go up again tomorrow. But it would be exceedingly foolish to ignore all of these warnings. Goldman Sachs say that there is a 99% chance that stocks cannot continue surging like they are. And in this case, I believe that Goldman Sachs is entirely correct.